In this video we're going to have a look at exchange rates. These are a really popular GCSE topic and can show up on both tiers of paper, so it's really important we make sure we know how to do these. They're not particularly difficult, just can be a little bit fiddly. So let's have a look at an example. Amy's going on holiday to Mexico. The current exchange rate it gives me is £1 equals 24 Mexican pesos. Now, before I even look at any of the other questions, what we're going to do is we're going to set up something which is going to help us throughout all of the different parts of this question. So the first thing I'm going to write in is the pound symbol. Now, because I don't know what the peso symbol is, let's just call that a P, which is fine. And what I'm going to do is put an arrow over the top here and an arrow underneath this one here. Now, to get from pounds, which is £1, to 24 Mexican pesos, I'm going to multiply that by 24 because I can see that it gets 24 times bigger. Alright, now to go back the other way from pesos to pounds, if to go one way is multiplication, to go back the other way I'm going to do the opposite. So to go from pesos to pounds, I'm going to divide by 24. And this thing now will help me work out any part of this question they can ask me. So let's have a look at it. In part A, Amy wants to change £15 into pesos. How much is this? So I've got £15 and I look at my little graph up here and it tells me to get from pounds to pesos, I times by 24. So I'm going to do 15 multiplied by 24, which gives me 360 peso. In the second part of the question, Amy's now bought a hat for 900 pesos and wants to know how much this would have cost in the UK. So I'm going to start with 900, which remember is the cost in pesos. I'm going to go up here to my information I got earlier, and it tells me to get from pesos to pounds, I'm dividing by 24. So I make sure I write in all of the steps of my calculation, and 900 divided by 24 is 37.5, but because we're dealing with money, we know that that's £37.50 as my final answer. In the second example, George is going on holiday to Greece, and again this time the question gives me an exchange rate of £1 equals 1.42 euros. So before I look at any of the other parts, I'm going to set up my little piece of machinery, the little piece of maths that's going to help me work this one out. So I've got pounds, and the symbol for euros looks like that. I'm going to draw in this arrow, takes me from pounds to euros, and one going the other way. Now to get from £1 to £1.42, it's a little bit nastier, but it's still multiplication, and I times by 1.42. To go back the other way from euros to pounds, well, if one way is times, then the other way is divide, and I keep that number exactly the same. So let's look at part A. George wants to change £300 into euros. How much is this? So he's got 300. I consult this little guide I've got up here, and it says to go from pounds to euros is times by 1.42. So I'm going to go times 1.42, and that gives me a price of 426 euros. George buys a hat, it costs him 600 euros, and he wants to know how much this would have cost in the UK. So we're going to start off with 600, and I just consult my little guide up here to go from euros to pounds. It's divide by 1.42, so it's important I show all my working out. Divide by 1.42, and when I type this into the calculator, I've got to be a little bit careful here. What I actually get is 422.5352, and then a few numbers after that. Now because we're dealing with money, I'm only ever interested in these two decimal places. Again, just be careful because the 3 will round up to a 4. So the price of this in the UK is £422.54. George has bought a really expensive hat. Here's a question for you to have a go at. Paul's going on holiday to the USA. I've given you an exchange rate of £1 equals 1.57 US. Start by writing out that guide that I did on the previous two examples. Then have a look at the two parts of the question. Pause the video here, hit play when you're ready for some answers. Okay, so let's set up our guide. We've got pounds and we've got dollars. And to go from pounds to dollars, I multiply by 1.57. To go back the other way, I'm going to divide by 1.57. So changing £1,200 into dollars, I'm going to need that calculation, which is going to give me an answer of $1,884. To go back the other way, $50, I'm going to divide it by 1.57, and that's going to give me a complicated number which I'm going to round sensibly to £31.85. Remember, this figure here has been rounded to 2 decimal places. Here's the second question for you to have a go at. Same drill again, pause the video, hit play when you're ready for the answers. Okay, so I'm going to set up my guide for Mike's trip to South Africa. So I've got pounds and rand, and to go from pounds to rand I'm going to multiply by 19.31, and to go back the other way I'm going to divide by 19.31. Mike changes 350 into rand for his holiday, so that's 350. I consult my guide and it's times 19.31, and that gives me a total price in rand of 6,758.50. Mike buys a football for 150 rand. How much would this have cost in the UK? So I'm going from rand to pounds, so it's 150 divided by 19.31, and that's going to give me £7.77. Again, this figure here has been rounded to 2 decimal places because it's a money problem. Well done if you got both of those questions correct. Thanks for watching this video.